Show here today on March 20th, 2026. And we thank you for joining us. Today's theme is going to be Blessed are the Peacemakers. And that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to just touch base a little about a few things that were on this beautiful day here in Illinois that I noticed. It's 66 degrees right now outside here in Batavia, and we thank you for listening. And it's 66. And I'm going to show you a few things. I was out walking and found a few things that were of interest, and I just wanted to bring them up right now. A couple things. One was I saw a lot of people out there fishing on the Fox River called the Pond, Batavia Pond, and this doesn't really show it. There was all these poles put up on the river without they had stands and everything. It's probably 10 poles. There was just a lot of them. And I noticed a gentleman caught a couple catfish, and anyway, it was just interesting. They're all on one side. This is more like a pond instead of where the river is really rapid. So all the fishermen were on that side. That was interesting today to see. And another thing that I noticed, it's where I'm at where I'm at more or less. There was outside. There was well a mother goose had left her eggs. I guess it was too much civilian traffic around, and she just left her eggs. This is mother goose eggs that were left. I thought that was interesting. It's that time of year too. A lot of births of our animal creatures, so that was very interesting. So, and one other thing I wanted to bring up here right now before we get into our basic about our show. Down in Jackson, Mississippi, today, lying in state was Reverend John Perkins. Dr. John M. Perkins, I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times, and he was a real man of God. And you can see on the websites, on Christianity Day, other sites, Facebook, just a lot of people honoring him for the great work of racial reconciliation that he did. He died at age, he was 95 years old. He just passed a few days ago, about a week ago, Friday, I believe. And a week ago from today, he was 95. So what a blessing to have him in his life, and we'll have to carry on his legacy, and his family is down in Jackson, the John M. Perkins Foundation, and I hope that does keep going. So we thank the world and thank God for Dr. John Perkins. So that's happening today. So we're going to talk about peacemakers here. Blessed are the peacemakers. And what does that mean? And Dr. Perkins was one of those who tried to pull people together, and he was really a peacemaker. He'd been beat up in Mississippi and a lot of things. He came back and just worked with people, forgave them. I think another peacemaker from the past that I always remember was a lady named Corrie ten Boom, who had hid Jews and later was jailed by the Nazis. And her sister died in a concentration camp, but she forgave her guards and went on to a lot of great things, Corrie ten Boom. And that was another person who practiced being a peacemaker. Perkins was that way, tried to bring people together. I think of Jimmy Carter along that line too. When I think about peacemakers, he brought Anwar Sadat and Begin together and showed them the love of God and tried to use God in a positive way to show that it could be reconciled in Israel. And in Egypt have been at peace for now 40 years or more, and that's a blessing. Over 45 years, and that's been a blessing. So the verse that we should be using and talking about is Matthew 5, and I'm going to take down this one shot here. Matthew 5:9 we should be talking about, and there's other verses. Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. I want to say I think Jimmy Carter would be a good example, because I think he always, you can say a lot of things that maybe he didn't handle this or that in economics or other things, but he was a peacemaker. And he later went on to do Habitat, and he worked in reconciliation at several war fronts. I forgot all the conflicts he tried to mediate and work on. He did that too. Another person who's did quite a bit of that work, I would say, was a peacemaker, was Jesse Jackson, who tried to resolve things. Now, right now, I don't know. I know the Pope Leo's talked about this war effort and how it's wrong, and we got to bring it together. Here's some more verses I'm going to show you here about being a peacemaker. From James, peacemakers who sow peace will reap harvest of righteousness. Psalm, it says 34:14. Turn from evil and do good, and seek peace and pursue it. Here's the Apostle Paul wrote to the Romans, if it is possible, as far as depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Now, this last one, I'm going to have to switch around here again. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one can see God. Man, these tell us to be Christian peacemakers. Can we get President Trump and some Iranian leadership to get together? These are Shiite people. They're not Sunni. That more the rest of the world Islam is. They're Shiite, which is a little more, it's radical, and they do have a doctrine on Israel they should knock out. But can we have peace? Not ceasefire, not something. We want peace. Can President Trump be in peace? Does he have advisors around him who want to think about peace? I don't know. I just don't know who's around President Trump to bring peace. Do we have some peacemakers here in our offering out there? We hope the church, we hope the Pope and others and his emissaries can work for peace. I was going to look up about wars, and I wanted to bring this up. These necessarily aren't wars, but they were conflicts. I'll use that word, maybe. Afghanistan, the withdrawal of troops that President Trump has always ridiculed, 13 died. That's right where we're at right now. So President Trump better not be too deep on that story. Jimmy Carter tried to bring out from Iran. Iran has always been a problem. And when the leadership took over in 79, they took hostages. I think you remember that. 8 died in a rescue helicopter plane rescue. 8 died. Here's some other things. Ronald Reagan had Grenada. 19 died. During Ronald Reagan's term, this is another Middle Eastern problem. Lebanon, 241, and the U.S. withdrew from the region. Then we had Bush going into Panama to get Noriega. 23 got killed. But now we have a war. This is war. It's President Trump changed the name of the Department of Defense to Department of War. Isn't that ironic? And then it's supposed to be peaceful? I don't think so. I think you should change it back to the Department of Defense, and maybe the opposition party, I'm sure, will do that. And there's nothing great about calling it the Department of War, where we're so macho here. We got to remove this type of macho thinking that's out there, that war is some beautiful thing. And we want to have tattoos on our chest with the cross and then say our Christianity is with us when we fight, like the Crusaders. It is not going to do us good here. We have to think about others, how those over 150 children got killed by our bombs. We have to admit these things and move. That's the only way we're going to have a move on from this situation. Is this going to last a long time? I don't know. But if we don't have people who want to step in the gap and try to bring peace here, it could last a long time. And the gas prices could go up. We got to have the church, the universal church has got to speak on this. And we can't just thump our chests and say, ooh, this is a great thing we're doing. I just don't believe that. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Being a peacemaker is not killing 150 children. Think on that. We don't want troops to be killed. We don't want any more Iranians to be killed. Maybe 1,000 of them have been killed. We have to hope for peace between Lebanon and Israel. Let's hope God arises some peacemakers for the Middle East. Maybe I got a little too political here, but we have to be truth bearers too. And I'm sorry about that, but you know what I mean about peacemakers. You know who the peacemakers are. Peacemakers work between two parties. Not peacekeepers, peacemakers. So this is it's what John Perkins was trying to do, racial reconciliation between black and white, and we're all made in the image of God. We got to keep thinking that way and moving ahead that way. So I just had to get that off my chest, and this background is in Batavia, Blessed, Peace on Earth. It's the Batavia Peace Bridge, they call it. It's downtown Batavia. And I'm thankful for that Peace Bridge. And on Monday, Lord willing, we're going to talk about the plague of sports gambling. I had a little introduction to that last night on a cable news show. They talked to an individual who had took on gambling for about a year. He was a Mormon, and normally they don't gamble. He had to get a dispensation to do anyway. He got deep into it, and it's a very interesting story, but it plagues us in America, gambling. Another thing I wanted to bring up, if you have any thoughts and ideas for shows or comments, send them to this email I'm putting down the bottom of the screen. I'm just opening up that email, so that's a new thing. So thank you very much for being with us, being with me, I should say. And remember, blessed are the peacemakers. I hope I can do that. You can do that. We can show the love of God to people. And just thank you for listening to this short time here. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you back then on Monday. Bye-bye now. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.